Welcome to Leadership Reimagined, where game-changing conversations are reshaping the world of work. I'm Janice Ellig, CEO and founder of Ellig Group, executive search advisors, pioneers in redefining executive search through our unwavering commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Today on Leadership Reimagined, our topic is about a multi-generational family of entrepreneurs in the food industry. I'm delighted to welcome Erin Tolefree, president of Baldwin Richardson Foods, one of the largest Black family-owned and operated businesses in the food industry. Erin is part of the 3% of Black women at the C-suite level and 20% of female C-suite executives in the food and beverage industry. Erin joined the Baldwin Richardson Foods team in 2001 as a national accounts manager. Throughout her 20 years of service, Erin has made integral contributions across the organization, holding leadership positions in customer relations, supply chain, logistics, finance, and corporate governance. Erin earned a Bachelor of Arts from Spelman College and serves on multiple boards, including the Rochester Regional Health, the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council, ESL Federal Credit Union, and ROC 2025. Erin, welcome. I'm so delighted you could join us today.
Thank you for having me, Janice, and I'm very much looking forward to our discussion today.
Erin, you are one of the few women at a senior level in the food industry, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about the initiatives that you have underway. I understand you and your sister Cara Hughes, Vice President of Customer and Community at Baldwin Richardson Foods, are the first women to run this family-owned business, which was founded by your father, Eric Johnson. So what have been some of those challenges, opportunities, and lessons learned along the way? Could you share what it's like in terms of running a family-owned business?
Yes. So first, I want to just say what a great privilege it is to be able to talk with you today, representing Cara and I, the third generation of entrepreneurship and leadership in our family. And really just how energized we are that we, as the first women-led generation in our family, get to carry the torch forward. You know, we were really blessed to be able to grow up with strong role models, both female and business leaders, and sometimes both. And in one in particular is our grandmother, Joan Betty Johnson, who we both credit for really being one of the original and most powerful models of what the glass ceiling could be for us. And really, she pushed us to think about it as a barrier that was supposed to be broken. Our grandmother, Joan Betty Johnson, was the first generation of entrepreneurship in our family at Johnson Products with our grandfather, George Johnson. And she really modeled the grace, confidence, conviction that it takes to be able to walk into boardrooms and to lead boldly for a company that is growing and destined to be successful.
So that role model was really strongly embedded into who you were growing up. As I'm hearing you speak about your grandparents, George and Joan Betty Johnson, a woman of great stature and conviction, how did she drive you into the field you're in today, where you said, yeah, this is the business I want to be in too? What was she like as a role model for you, Erin?
She absolutely was that role model. One of the most powerful things and gifts I would say she gave to me was really the strong encouragement to go to Spelman College. Growing up, not only was I able to firsthand see her as a businesswoman, but I also saw the community engagement that she participated in. And at the time that I was thinking about colleges, she actually was serving or completing her term on the board of Spelman College and gave me the opportunity to get on the campus, and ultimately was the motivating person behind my decision to go. And, you know, the first day I stepped on campus, I knew that there was something about that environment that was meant for me. But now, 2 decades later, I can look back at that experience and say it was one of the strongest things throughout my life that really reinforced this belief that she created the foundation for, that I could have the confidence and determination to go out and lead as the third generation of entrepreneurship in our family. And while I give her a lot of credit, I also have to say that my father, Eric Johnson, who is the second generation of entrepreneurship in our family, is a father to three daughters and one son. And I can honestly say he raised the four of us all with the same expectations and values. And he really, from a young age, even before our paths started to join up in business, really fostered an environment where he wanted us to be able to grow into anything that we were passionate about with fearlessness.
Well, this is a remarkable family foundation that you have grown up in. And I want to clarify your grandparents founded Johnson Products, which was the first Black owned company listed on the American Stock Exchange. So, as I understand it, your father, Eric Johnson, left the family business, Joan and Betty Johnson and George Johnson, his parents, to start his own company. So, talk to us a little bit about the dynamic of that change in the family.
So that was a pretty big change from as early as I can remember in my life. Johnson Products was a hallmark of our family. The business world and our family world were sort of intertwined. And I grew up, because of the exposure I had early on, really always believing that when I got to a point where I was in the workforce and building my career, that would be at Johnson Products. And that wasn't just something that I formed in my mind based on what I saw, but it was something that formed through lived experience. So some of my earliest memories that I can think of are in driving from the North Shore into the city of Chicago for the day, and really believing as early as age 7 that I was going to work for the day. And sometimes that work was getting supplies for the 500 people that were working across the manufacturing facilities and corporate office, or at the end of the day going to the test salon to try new products and get my hair done. And I also got to see kind of what the path and trajectory was, because when I would pull up and be into that building for the day, I would go to my father's office, which was on the plant floor, as he was heading up manufacturing and sales. Not glitzy at all, but certainly in the middle of all of the action of what they do to create value for consumers, and then going upstairs to see the big cushy office that my grandfather had ascended to. And I was just thrilled by it all. I think the exposure that our parents gave us early on really, really helped us out, set the foundation for Cara and I, and that desire and fire to want to be in business. So fast forward just a couple of years, and we think about the fact that we always thought Johnson Products was the business we were going to continue to grow. My father becomes president of the organization, which was a lifelong dream. And with everything going so well, he'll tell the story better, but he wasn't happy. He felt inside that there was something different. There was something more. There was another path to create a future for this legacy of entrepreneurship in our business, and made the bold decision to leave Johnson Products, and 6 months later purchased Baldwin Ice Cream, which was at the time the beginning of Baldwin Foods, which ultimately became Baldwin Richardson Foods.
And that was in 1992, correct?
Yep, 1992, Baldwin Ice Cream was purchased, and he continued over the next 5 years to grow that business pretty rapidly. Interestingly, a group of bankers that he had worked with while at Johnson Products knew that he was interested in expanding into the food industry. And in 97, when Quaker Oats decided that they were going to divest of their Richardson Foods division, it was a natural fit to bring ice cream, toppings, syrups, and some of the other things that came with it together as two brands. And so we're delighted that those things were able to work out, because when we look at where we've been able to take the marriage of those two brands in 97 to where we are today in 2023, we can all look back and say that that leap of faith, that following of his gut to pivot to the food industry was an excellent decision.
So you have bold grandparents who founded a publicly traded company on the American Stock Exchange, Johnson Products, and a bold father, Eric Johnson, who founded Baldwin Richardson Foods. Now, looking at this family dynamic of entrepreneurs and you graduating from Spelman College, did you then just say, well, I'm going to go into the business? Or did you think about going onto your own path? Tell us about that thought process you went through and then your decision.
Yeah, so one of the great things I can say about both my grandparents and my father is as we were growing up, we really never got pushed into one direction or another, but we were always given the space to explore our passions. And so throughout my college experience, I actually was able to intern with several businesses in the financial industry, in the legal industry. And the third year of my college experience, I was able to come in and form an internship program at what had then by that time become Baldwin Richardson Foods. And it was the first opportunity I had to think about a problem we wanted to solve, put together a plan, actually hire a team, and then execute it. And really, with guidance, if I sought questions from Eric or my father, but with the complete freedom to explore and, quite frankly, own the results. So that was my first taste of, this could be interesting. On my graduation evening, I went to my father because he often was a person that I would go to first to help me think through difficult or high stakes decisions. And I talked to him about two offers and two paths for my career that I was contemplating taking on. And instead of getting advice on those two opportunities, he actually put a third one on the table. He was in the midst of a pretty significant leadership transition of an account manager for our largest customer at the time. And he offered me the position to come in and take on that relationship, really with beyond the internship, no experience. He made a commitment to me that evening that if I was willing to take a bet on him, that he would, in return, help invest in giving me everything that I needed to be successful, whether it came from him directly or through whatever connections. And I made a deal with him too, that I would give it a try. And if by the end of the summer it hadn't worked out, then I would have helped him through, a challenging transitional time, but that we would consider it an internship and I would go off to those other paths. I can tell you by the end of the second week, I knew I was all in and have not looked back since that moment. So that was my path to Baldwin Richardson Foods.
What a great story, Erin. You worked with and for your father all those years where he gave you the opportunity to learn the company with a lot of functional and line responsibilities. Tell us about that journey before you became president in 2020 and what it was like during those earlier years working for your father and again in the family business.
Yeah, so there are lots of twists and turns to that story. I guess one thing I would say is I'll back up. In our entrepreneurial journey of 3 generations, there are some things that are very consistent from G1 to G3, and there's some things that, are built differently from generation 1 to generation 3. So I kind of came into the business with a level of alignment with my father as our CEO and my boss that actually started with generation 1. And that was this focus on an organization that's led by its values, this relentless pursuit of excellence and a desire to win with our customers, and doing that through the lens of our people and being able to make an impact on our community. So I share that as a backstory because whenever we've had disagreements, challenges along the way, we've really been always united by this common purpose and this common vision. One of the other things that's been consistent throughout my entire career at Baldwin Richardson Foods is that the business has always been in growth mode. So, in my natural tendency, a very type A personality, I always wanted this plan on paper of, okay, I'm going to go from sales to operational roles and I'm going to spend X number of months. And when your CEO, who is also your father, is a very entrepreneurial individual who doesn't want to be bound by schedules and rules, you can imagine that that could create some friction in meeting each other's needs. What I can honestly tell you has been, I think, very remarkable about the sweet spot that we've both found in that journey from account manager to president is that through our growth journey, there have been multiple opportunities that we couldn't have predicted on paper became needs for the business, whether that was scaling our procurement department, investing in new lines and facilities to facilitate growth, investing into new categories to make sure that we're focused on consumers. All of those things really provided opportunities, whether they were in individual contributor roles where after 6 or 12 months of taking on a challenging assignment, you could look back and see such significant growth. And that's really the summary played over and over again over a 20-year period of how we've been able to work together to grow together while growing the business and fulfilling what I believe is a very powerful succession journey and outcome.
Since you became president in 2020, revenue has grown by 67%. That has been a very robust growth strategy. But Erin, talk to us a little bit about the size of Baldwin Richardson. You weren't always the big guy in the room, right? But as you've described the company, you were small but mighty. What did you do to secure some of those really big clients that you have today? And what set you apart from your competitors? Why did these large, giant companies want to do business with Baldwin Richardson Foods?
Yeah, so small but mighty, and not to be underestimated. And I think that's been the fuel that has helped us to really continue to repeat this story of successful growth. There's a couple of things that underpin that. Number one is we are really secure in who we are and where we're trying to go. And so in that, we are able to recognize that not every opportunity is a good opportunity and have looked for the kinds of relationships where we have alignment in values. We have the ability to have a long-term mindset in how we support our customers. And that in turn allows us to invest, whether that's investment in innovation, investment in supply chain, investment in new equipment, and making sure that, what we're offering, A, we have the right to win in the space, and B, we can deliver with excellence in a way that we become the supplier partner that our customers don't want to live without. And that's our focus. That is what fuels our passion. That's what gets us up every day. Relative to COVID, I would have to say you have to step back in our story just a little bit to understand more why we were so successful through such a trying, challenging, volatile, and turbulent time. As I've mentioned, our business has significantly been or has been in growth mode significantly over 25 years. And about 2 years before the pandemic started, we hit our first major roadblock right around the time I became Chief Operating Officer, where we fully recognized through a series of things that were going on, undertaking a significant expansion project, taking on significant growth, that there were aspects of our operation that were not yet scalable. And so we were very honest with ourselves about what that meant. We had to take a look at the entrepreneurial endeavors that we had going on and really quickly get focused on the few things that mattered. And so we were hugely successful in that. But I think the thing we never could have recognized going through it is because as a team, we were united in taking on really challenging things in a fairly short period of time through our collaboration and support and focus on a select few things. We actually arrived at March of 2020, a very strong and united, small but mighty force. And so when COVID came, yes, it was challenging on a personal and professional level for the 500, well, at the time, 400 employees that work at Baldwin Richardson Foods. We were already united by the fact that we could pull together and do some pretty amazing things. And then if you layer on top of that with all of the uncertainty in the world, feeling like our higher calling and our higher purpose was to keep grocery store shelves stocked and drive-through windows open, really positioned us to be the supplier of choice to our customers.
Erin, so can you talk about your products and the customers you're serving? Given you're producing over 300 million pounds of food, that was in 2020, with only 480 employees. And you have innovation food labs in the Chicago area. So what is that product lineup? And who are those customers you're serving?
Yeah, so we like to say better together. Everything that we manufacture makes whatever you're eating taste measurably better. And so to understand that, we operate in 4 different categories. If you're having a coffee in the morning and it has a flavoring, the likelihood that Baldwin Richardson Foods has had some hand in innovating and manufacturing that flavor is pretty significant. We also have what we call an industrial fillings division, where one of the hallmark brands we support is through the manufacturing of 100% of the filling for Nutri-Grain bars across North America. The third segment of our portfolio is savory sauces. So if you're out in the food service area and you see cups with different flavors to dip chicken tenders and nuggets into it, there's a likelihood that those were developed and or manufactured by Baldwin Richardson Foods. And we just recently expanded into what we call aseptic, but is synonymous with real, fresh, preservative-free beverages that have grown pretty substantially over the last couple of years. We have the most amazing customers. They are the icons of the industry. And we're so fortunate to be aligned with partnerships that really are focused on growth, focused on service and excellence to consumers, and focused on excellence in operational execution today, but with a mindset for the long term. And we feel blessed to be in this position and do what we need to make sure that we are positioned well to win in this space for the long term.
So, Erin, what's on the horizon for you in terms of going forward with your innovation lab, your chefs, your new recipes and flavorings?
So, a couple of things that we learned through our 2018 forward and through the pandemic is that we needed to redefine what innovation looked like at Baldwin Richardson Foods. We had made significant investment in what we call the fuzzy front end and really looking at products of the future, helping our customers to build the pipeline of new and exciting offerings for, the next 12, 24, 36 months out. And we want to continue to excel at that. And I think the flip for our organization was really looking at innovation throughout and how we could be more innovative in scaling and optimizing our operations and our supply chain. And so, as much as we're excited about building the future, focused on things that consumers demand and love, we're also really laser focused on the acceleration of technology and how we can continue to make embracing and adopting it a competitive advantage for our business, for our operations, for our supply chain, for our people, and ultimately for our customers. There's been, a significant shift over these last couple of years, and the acceleration and of adoption here at Baldwin Richardson Foods is already enabling us to be a more nimble and agile partner. So we're really excited about continuing as we're growing at a faster rate of looking at how we bring innovation to the table and create value both internally and externally in a different way.
What a great story. Erin, I am also very impressed with what Baldwin Richardson Foods is doing in the community, the give back, and what you and your sister Cara are driving. Speaks to us about this commitment to community, this commitment to giving back, both in the community in which you live as well as to your alma maters.
So I have to say that this notion of the importance of giving back, and we really define that in terms of our ability to create opportunities where they might not otherwise exist and to make impact, started with George and Joan Johnson and certainly continued to be fostered under Eric's leadership. When we think back to the impact and importance of Spelman College in my life, both personally and professionally, and that of my sister, the ability for our business through our success to be able to create opportunities for more women to attend the number one HBCU and get that experience that builds confidence, conviction, and determination that we were provided with is one of the best things. We coined that feeling and that mission internally here at Baldwin Richardson Foods as what we do well allows us to do good. And that is, a point of pride because it's something that our family has been able to engage in for 3 generations. But when we think about the impact that we're able to make, it's just completely thrilling. And what I mean by that is our strategy of providing opportunity and making impact is really about finding the select few areas where we feel that we are uniquely suited to be able to make that impact. So big fish, small pond, and not just being a check that pays the tuition. Certainly that is an important factor, but our goal is out of this, if we create one entrepreneur or if one of those students goes on to create something that spurs the economic opportunity for others to be employed, then we have found a way to pay it forward. So that is a huge part of our mission and our strategy. We are proud partners with Babson College, which is the alma mater of Eric and the number one school for entrepreneurship globally, Spelman College, and many other entities where we feel that we can invest both in mentorship, philanthropic efforts, as well as just giving our time, whether that's board, strategy, or any other way where we feel we can be impactful, really with that idea that the opportunity will create the impact.
An amazing give back. I also understand at Richardson Foods, you built a primary middle school in Haiti and supported its operation since the earthquake of 2010. You've really made an impact outside of the U.S. for people who were so disadvantaged by that earthquake. From George and Joan Betty Johnson, Eric Johnson, and you and Cara all have a common vision, saying what we do well allows us to do good. And certainly you are doing that in all that we've talked about. So what does the next chapter look like that you and Cara are driving in terms of mentorship and servant leadership within the organization? And how are you doing this?
Yeah, so if Cara were on this podcast, one of the things that she says is she feels her competitive passion out with our customers and trying to make sure that everything we're doing is allowing the business to succeed. And then when we look and turn to our community efforts, that's really what makes us feel, that's what feeds our souls. And so over the last couple of years, we've actually been able to launch two different organizations in partnership with other the Community Foundation and other organizations. One is called BOSA, and that is the Black Owned Supplier Association. Started really with organizations primarily in the food industry. Cara proudly leads that organization as the president, with the premise of collectively these founding members have been able to navigate a path similar to Baldwin Richardson Foods to doing great business with great results with some of the most amazing customers in the industry, and looking forward to how we can mentor that next level of organizations that just need, whether it's how to get to the next stage with food safety and quality programs, or how to navigate financing discussions when you're trying to make investments, or really any of the challenges that all of us have had to deal with, and really trying to be that go-to group to really help people bust through the barriers that get them to that next level of being tier one suppliers to the icons of our industry. I actually have had the pleasure over the last 2 years to found an organization called the Rochester Procurement Equity Project in partnership with the Rochester Area Community Foundation. And what we're doing here is we have signed on the top 10 institutions and corporations in our area and looked to basically leverage the power of the corporate combined corporate and institutional dollars to define opportunities through addressable spend to help scale some of the minority business enterprises in the Rochester area. So we've just entered phase 2 of our project and beefed up what we call the supply side and really finding those viable partners that are ready for that next challenge. And we're so excited and energized about what this will mean for Black and Brown businesses in our community, what it will mean for our local economy, and for me personally, what it will mean to look at all of the great opportunity and success Baldwin Richardson Foods and our family has had or has been able to achieve over 3 generations, and really be able to can and pay that forward to others that are just primed for the opportunity.
Erin Tolefree, president of Baldwin Richardson Foods, you are changing the planet. You, your grandparents, your father, this is a remarkable story of what a family can do in terms of doing good and giving back.
This is the Rochester Procurement Equity Project, and it's a partnership that we founded and funded with the Rochester Area Community Foundation and U3 advisors out of Pennsylvania.
This sounds like it could be a model for other communities. Are others taking your lead?
We hope so. We believe we're building it in a way that it can definitely scale and be a model for others, as you say.
So where might we find more information about the impact you're making in the community if others wanted to, say, duplicate that in their own communities?
So for right now, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. We are in the midst of launching a website for the organization. But right now, really, it's just this group of 10 that are really firmly focused, heads down on making the impact, and then talking more about how we can scale this model. But we have to make sure that we achieve success here first.
I understand you will be inducted into the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame for Business this month. Can you tell us about this and its importance to you?
That is correct, and it is such an honor.
And this foundation is dedicated to sustaining and growing historically Black colleges and universities. And along with your endowment fund at Spelman College, you really made an investment in dedication to education. And how are you looking forward and saying what you want your legacy to be many years down the road from these types of investments and others?
I cannot say enough about how Spelman College is so truly essential to who I am today. And I'm sure even though Eric, our father and CEO, became or went to Babson, he would agree that the ROI on our Spelman College endeavor, Cara and I both, is just amazing. And so when I think about, again, that concept of what we do well allows us to do good, being able to create that opportunity and experience for the next generation and hopefully the next generation after that is something that we are just so proud to be able to do. And, if one of these days, as we've been able to influence the development of a food science program at Spelman, some of those scholars come and develop and innovate the next new winning lineup of products at Baldwin Richardson Foods, that will be amazing. But even if they go out into the world and invent different things in different places, in different industries, we are already starting to see the fruits of our labor. One of the things that we're able to do once a year is we bring all of our scholars here to Baldwin Richardson Foods for a day in the life. We talk about a culture of belonging. We take them out to our manufacturing facilities. We expose them to how we win with our customers. And these students are so bright. We initially crafted the agenda in a way that we were teaching them. But what we've learned each time we've done this is that we're learning so much in the perspectives that they bring. And so for us, and for me personally, the recognition of this award just makes us want to double down and make sure that we are creating a solid foundation through good work we're doing in our business to be able to continue and amplify this for years to come. And that's the legacy I want to be able to leave.
Erin, I see a book or many articles in your future. Do you have any parting words for our audience?
I would say that it's been great to be able to share our story with you today. Cara and I are so thrilled about the next chapter of growth at Baldwin Richardson Foods, really linking back and leveraging the values and the focus on excellence that stems from generation one, was fostered in generation two. But in many ways, we really feel like we're just getting started.
You're growing a business and giving so much back to communities to change people's lives. This has been a remarkable story of a very strong family that is so supportive of each other with a very strong common vision. And like you said, doing good and making good and giving back to others is what it's all about. You really are changing people's lives for the better. I want to thank you so much, Erin Tolefree, for sharing your story of your family and of the business. It's an inspiration for all of us listening to you today. Thank you very much for giving me this time, and I look forward to follow-up conversations.
Thank you. And thank you, Janice, for the conversation and allowing us to tell our story.
And thank you so much to our audience for tuning in to another game-changing conversation on Leadership Reimagined. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, or visit our website, elligroup.com. Thank you so much for joining us today for this inspirational story of Erin Tolefree, a multi-generational family of food entrepreneurs.